What's up, YouTube? We're getting right into the video. It is time to all right, today's, let's catch a breath here. Today's fit is inspired by good old high school me. This jacket is the jacket we would wear when we go out on the mat as a team, as we warm up, run around in circles, and start sparring. Yes, all my time in high school I did wrestling, which honestly really set the tone and the competitive edge for not only life, but for bodybuilding. I did for 4 years. It taught me a lot of sacrifice, accountability, discipline. Did I say accountability already? Man, this workout's killing me. Diligence, a lot of great qualities for bodybuilding here. I'll talk about it more. Let's get to set number 2. Come on. Hey. Come on, 2 more. All right, be uncommon. You got one more. One more. First sport I ever got into was soccer. I did for a couple years. The reason why I left was once I got into the sport a lot more competitive. I'm from Los Angeles. My mom is from Mérida, Yucatan, Mexico. And then my dad is from Samoa. For some reason, they didn't teach us any English. Sorry, not English, but Spanish or Samoan. So we only learned English. So once I started progressing in soccer, everybody started speaking Spanish. Made me feel out of place, and I felt like I wasn't able to grasp techniques or learn quick enough because there was a language barrier. So ever since I left soccer, I try to look for a new sport to, help that competitive edge, to have it grow, to feed the beast. And I found that eventually through bodybuilding, obviously, like I mentioned before. But there are a few sports I went through before bodybuilding, before wrestling actually, that led me to who I am today. The first one was volleyball. You see, in my high school, my last name, Matali, is very well known. All of my siblings have plaques and their names on the walls. My brother, eldest brother, is known to be a great volleyball and basketball player. My second brother, known to be really, really good at football in his time. And then my sister was really good at water sports. So me coming into the picture, there's a lot of weight and expectation for me to be a great athlete. I started off with volleyball, wasn't really good. The coach that coached my brother was still there, told me I did not have the talent. For football, I never started. I was only on special teams, and I only went in twice. I had no idea what I was doing. I was 95 pounds, a scrawny little kid, getting run down by everybody. Felt really out of place there. See, the reason why I did football was my dad. I saw that he favored a lot of sports, and I wanted to get his attention. And me, I'm a nerd, I'm a weird kid, I'm into art. I feel like my dad and I couldn't really connect too well on my weird side, right? So in order for me to connect with him, I chose football. But obviously football didn't work out for me. Swimming, my sister did that, I'm not a great swimmer. And so the coach told me, hey, if you want to get better at football, go to the weights and do wrestling. It'll help you out. I'll tell you more in just a second. Let's go. Anyways, so I tried out for the wrestling team and got accepted. I feel like wrestling is definitely the sport that was made fun of. I mean, a lot of people that were in other sports made fun of us for touching other guys, right? But as the years progressed, by my 4th year, I feel like wrestling was the most respected sport that there was in high school, because yes, most sports are pretty intense physically, but with wrestling, when it comes to cutting weight, especially at a young age, like I wasn't the best tracker, but I ate less to make weight, which takes a mental toll, especially for a kid who was not very educated with macronutrients. I don't think anybody was around that time, right? But anyways, tried out for the wrestling team and wanted to be a better football player, but I decided to stay there long term because one, it made sense for my weight. I was 95 pounds going into my 1st year, and when I was trying out for varsity, I made the spot. So definitely my talent or skill set was more aligned with the sport of wrestling, and it was something I feel like I was more in control of. And you know, I'm definitely more of a person that likes to, I don't know, I like one-on-one sports. Makes it more, I don't have to rely too much on the team. Obviously I rely on the team where the culture and everything, but you know, it's me versus me. It's up to me to be mentally aligned and physically and spiritually connected to perform well. So I will say that a lot of demons happened in my 4 years of high school that I'll talk about more as to why I take bodybuilding very seriously. And part of it is because I was very insecure through all 4 years of high school, which I'm sure most of us were. And there were matches I won that I felt like I was not worthy to win, or I wasn't satisfied because I wasn't at my absolute best. You see, I made a lot of mistakes in those 4 years with relationships and friends and family. And now that I've experienced life and, you know, I'm married, went through college, went through a lot of heartbreaks, hard times. I got to a point where I was on a curb and literally had no money. I hit a new low that really has lifted me up and made me choose to, you know, take ownership of my life and to reflect and know that I am allowed to be great. So now that my spiritual, physical, social, and intellectual like state of mind is more mature and more like solid. I just can't imagine how I am going to be as an athlete for bodybuilding, so it gets me excited. Phone died, so that is going to be challenging. No music. Short time. Change of scenery. My gym closed at 6 p.m. so I'm here in my apartment gym. What I was saying, in junior year, I was seated first in a championship. And the choices I was making in my relationships and family, around, how old was I? 16, 17 years old. That was probably, that was a time in my life where I was learning and discovering my spirituality. And it was when I was developing a moral code for myself. Growing up, I wasn't used to having a set standard of living. My parents are Christian, and they did their very best to have like a Christ-like living. And so I definitely develop small tendencies to do good in life, but I never really understood the meaning as to why we do good things, right? And so as I was like preparing for a tournament that I was supposed to be taking first, like that was just the expectation, I went into the tournament having like this morality like struggle where I went in feeling like I didn't deserve to win just because I feel like I wasn't being a good person outside of the mat. And I let that hold me back. I went into the whole tournament thinking that throughout the whole match. Every match, I just told myself like, I'm not a good person. I don't deserve to win. And while I'm telling myself that, I'm going in, teching guys. If you know what I mean by teching, is like when you win by 15 points, they stop the match. That was definitely me. I was coached to kind of destroy people on the mat to the point where they had to stop the match. And on other matches, I was pinning people, but as I was going through every single round or wrestling match, I just kept on telling myself, you shouldn't be winning. You don't deserve to win just because you're not a good person, right? And I was struggling with that. And when I went into the finals, again, expectation was high. I was supposed to win. It finally caught up to me in my mind that I was so distracted that when I went to the middle of the mat, they rung the whistle, and 10 seconds later, the guy threw me on my back. Normally, I respond quickly, and I could work with that and scramble, but I was pinned, and I lost, and I got second place in my league. And I remember I felt very, very bad about myself and realized that, hey, there was a lot of things I needed to change for myself spiritually, mentally, physically too, to be a better champion and to be a better person overall. And so I'll tell you what happened after that, going into my senior year of high school, and how things kind of changed for the better. Oh, yeah. With all the wrestling talk, for you wrestlers out there, what was your favorite takedown? For me, I watched a lot of Jordan Burroughs, So the blast double specifically was my bread and butter. Not the double where you kind of go to the side, you pick them up to the side, but right straight to the chest. Just like set them up. I would usually throw elbows up and then go straight to the chest, pull in the legs. It was a deadly one. One of my favorite things about wrestling was, you know, when you wrestlers know, like when you hear that, like when you're against your opponent and they do that, it feels good. Definitely builds a lot of momentum for your match. All right, guys, just to close, I just want to talk about my senior year. My senior year of high school, I did that tournament again that I lost the year before, and I took first place. And this time around, it was, you know, I didn't feel as fulfilled just because I feel like my year prior before was robbed just because of my mentality and my lack of focus. But coming into my senior year, a lot more focused, better all around, physically, spiritually, mentally, all the above. But I wasn't perfect, and there are areas where, I mean, it still could have been better. And then leading up to the end of my wrestling career, it was in CIF, and I was battling between if I really wanted to progress as an athlete and go to masters and states, or I should kind of just go along with the punches and just see what happens. And, you know, I was okay to settle for having my season cut off and have some time with friends and all that. Well, going into the CIF, I, again, had a mental battle. I felt like I settled for my champion win I think like 2 weeks prior. And when I went into the CIF tournament, I went in, wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I lost my first match, and then the second match, I was like, you know what? Okay, maybe I will decide to put effort in wrestling, right? And so I won the second match, and then the third match, again, wrestling with myself. Do I really want to do this for another like 3 months or 2? And I remember talking to the guy once they signed us up and put us on our bracket, and I was good to go wrestle the next guy. But I looked at him and was like, hey, how long have you been wrestling for? And he was like, yeah, 4 years, same as me. And I was like, huh, shit. I could settle for losing to a guy that's been wrestling for 4 years, right? And then when I got on the mat, he was just so like not experienced enough, I guess. I don't know how you're not experienced for 4 years, but I decided, I was like, okay, I guess I'm winning this match, and so I won. And then I went into the next match, and when I wrestled this guy, I put him on his back, and I could have pinned him, but there was a slight doubt where he felt stronger than me, and that little self-doubt made me like kind of shrink a little and just be like, oh, he's stronger than me, he could beat me. And so I let him go. And from there, one thing led to another. He turned me around and he pinned me, and my wrestling career was over for high school. And I remember when I lost and my coach put me to the side and was telling me, hey, like, you did so great in your 4 years and blah, blah, blah. Like, I just didn't feel fulfilled, and I really didn't feel like I reached my full potential as an athlete at that point. And I gave up way too soon. And graduated high school, moved on with life, experienced college, got married, and through it all, I experienced so much where I feel like I was missing something, and that something I was missing was that competitive nature that I had. And to this point, I feel like I truly became the man that I was looking for. At least a speck of the man that I was looking for when I was a high schooler. Like, I've definitely become a lot more wiser and have improved all around in my life. I was drawn to bodybuilding because it was something that was like a one-on-one sport type of deal, just like wrestling, and like everything that you had to put through your body, it just felt familiar to me. And so I followed this team called Take Uncommon Action, also known as Team Tua. Brady Oak is the CEO and head coach of them. I watched them for 2 years, and I saw him peak all his athletes, and they were usually spot on, and so I jumped on, actually kind of hoping that Brady would, like, I just really want to see what he was all about. I was like, okay, what's the secret? Like, is he really going to get me shredded? And when I did my first show, I followed everything perfectly that he wanted me to do. And when I went to my show, I got first call-outs, which is a pretty big deal for me, considering I never tracked a macro ever before. And I don't know, there was just some drive, something that was awakened in me that I was just like, you know what, like, I am in a good place where I could see myself being great in this sport. And so that's why I do bodybuilding. It's simply because I'm just feeding that competitive side that I feel like I could really reach my full potential here. Well, that's all I have to share for you guys today. I don't know why I wanted to share that with you, but I felt the need to. And honestly, I mean, like I said, this is my journal, and I'm gonna look back at this and maybe learn something or appreciate something I said. So thank you so much for watching. You guys have a good one.